Hello and greetings. So good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, or whenever you're listening to this video. If you're on YouTube, it's probably whenever you're procrastinating. So I realized finally that even the greatest content creators, their content goes through different phases. Now, instead of finally waiting for inspiration to strike, here's my first attempt in creating, or not really the first attempt, first couple of attempts in making a series of YouTube videos. Now, I think that the way I want this channel to be is that it's a reflection of my interests at the time, and this series that I'd like to begin is kind of a documentary series on my experiences of getting COVID. So that's the story of this video. I got COVID. Alright, so if we zoom in onto my calendar here, so I actually got the first symptoms, I would say, of COVID on August 1st. I got a swab test done on August 3rd, and the result immediately came on August 4th. And today, as of recording this video, it's August 13th. So it's been a week and a couple of days since I have contracted the virus, and I'd like to go into more detail maybe in the following videos, because I didn't really keep track of the different day-to-day ongoings, because I only had the idea of making this video about yesterday. So I'll recap on that. I'll review what happened. But I honestly like to say, and I'm very thankful, that it feels like the worst has already passed. So what do I mean by that? In the initial couple of days after the positive swab test on the 4th, I think it was on the 5th or the 6th, that I had experienced the height of discomfort. And the height of discomfort for me was first having that feeling of not being able to breathe. So for those of us who experience having asthma, you know when we say it feels like we're drowning but in air. So that's how it felt like, except that it also wasn't an asthma attack. Just think about, it's generally difficult to breathe while there's kind of force on your chest. That's how it felt like at the time. But sure enough, it was able to pass after a day or so, and I think it was okay. The second height of discomfort, I would say, came a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, I would say, on the 11th, and it was, for some reason or another, it was getting hiccups. I swear to God, it is so uncomfortable. So it feels a bit funny to get hiccups, but then after you are going through the hiccups for a couple of hours, or when it's already nearing a day of getting the hiccups, it is very honestly uncomfortable. And I would say that for a lot of the part, especially towards the end of the day after experiencing the whole day of hiccups, it feels like, especially on the diaphragm, that it is a kind of, it feels like a bruising, or I don't think it's an accurate medical term, but it feels like there's it's very, the area is very tired. So for those of you who don't know, hiccup is a muscle spasm of the diaphragm. So I'm just imagining that if you can get soreness when you exercise, and this is a muscle which isn't behaving in the way that it usually does, I just imagine that there's a bit of soreness there. So I was laying on my back for a couple of hours after those episodes of hiccups. But I think one of the major inconveniences, which is something that which you can honestly get over, is the loss of smell and taste. So only today, I would say, I was able to regain slightly the taste of sweetness, and especially for the first couple of days after the positive test, I really didn't have any sense of smell or taste at all. So actually, after the first couple of days, I actually had a spell of indigestion, and I think it was a reaction to the medications I was taking at the time. So I had a spell of vomiting for like about 2 or 3 days, and that's when I realized. Actually, it took me a while to realize that I didn't have any sense of taste or smell because I couldn't taste the vomit that I was actually vomiting out. Now, so after like a couple of days of that vomiting, that's when I realized that I was able to regain the first taste, which is the bitter taste, because now I could taste the vomit that I was vomiting. So, good and bad, I guess. So it was a good sign. There's minor recovery of some taste buds, but now it just made it more uncomfortable to relieve myself. All right. So, what's the suggestion? How do you not get COVID? Um, Honest to God, I hope if you don't have COVID or you never got COVID, that you never get it. It's honestly a very frustrating, tiring experience, and it is honestly, um, it's annoying. I'd like to really say that I like working, and it's kind of frustrating when you're not in a position to be able to do things that you want to do. So I think that that's a common sentiment for everyone, even if you're not sick. But I think it's even worse when one of the reasons that um, you can't do something you want to do is because you're sick. So if you're just procrastinating, you have uh, everything available to you that you can just get up and stop procrastinating. But when you're sick, or when you have spells of um, non-lucidity, or when you're going through the day in a daze, or you you can't stand up for 15 minutes without feeling dizzy. So I think these are obvious detriments for when you want to get to work on something. And honest to God, sometimes, like for a couple of days earlier, even picking up a book or focusing on that, or holding up your phone to chat with somebody, it's honestly a challenging task, and that is so frustrating. So how do you not get COVID? Always wear a mask, and always um, think about the people you interact with. Do you know where they've been? Do you know who they've been in contact with? And have you entertained the possibility that they are asymptomatic? So, a reminder for everyone is the most vulnerable of us is not really the youth, but of course there are still major cases for those of us who are young. But uh, the people who are in grave danger are those of us who are senior citizens, or those of us living with our grandparents. So the virus has been known to have a higher mortality rate, especially for people coming from those age groups. So I'd like to thank you for listening to this 10-minute or so video, and I'll keep everyone updated if things change, but that's it for my piece right now. If there's any specific question you have in mind, how I'm dealing with everything, please feel free to ask in the comments down below. So that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next episode.